Thursday night, this was the moment when history unfolded at the United Nations.
The voting has been completed.
And with that, the General Assembly officially changed the Palestinian status from a UN observer to a non-member observer state, much like the Vatican. The final vote today, a landslide, 138-9, with everybody else abstaining. The United States and Israel, the strongest opponents of this resolution. Tonight, they're reacting with sharp criticism. But the Palestinian people, they're pretty excited about it all. Today's vote doesn't give them independence, but it is a step in that direction, they believe. And just look at the scene in the West Bank. This is Ramallah, just minutes after the results became official. Thousands of people celebrating in the streets. Their hope that the General Assembly's endorsement gives them more leverage when they're negotiating with Israel. Now let's look at how they're getting those negotiations done. These are the current borders in the Middle East, as seen on this map. The Palestinians want Israel to go back to the lines drawn in the war in 1967. The 67 borders, they call it. Give back the land in the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem that the Israelis captured in that 6 days of war. Keep in mind, we're just days into a truce in the latest conflict between the Israelis and Hamas militants who run the West Bank, or I should say who run Gaza. And the Palestinians say today's development could help bring about peace in the region, not sabotage it, as the Israelis and some in Washington claim.
Today's grand pronouncements will soon fade, and the Palestinian people will wake up tomorrow and find that little about their lives has changed, save that the prospects of a durable peace have only receded.
And minutes after the vote, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton echoed that perspective, calling today's vote unfortunate and counterproductive. With that, we have Team Fox coverage of today's developments. Jonathan, first we're going to have David Lee Miller in Jerusalem. But first, let's get to the Fox Report's chief correspondent, Jonathan Hunt, who's live for us at the United Nations. Jonathan, a lot of strong words there today.
Yeah, very strong language indeed, Shep. On the Palestinian side, President Mahmoud Abbas described this resolution as, quote, a last chance for peace. Implicit in that is the argument that by recognizing a Palestinian state, the United Nations emboldens and strengthens Mahmoud Abbas's moderate Fatah party against the more militant Hamas. From the Israeli side, officials said this is not about any particular Palestinian faction, and they said, in fact, that Palestinians of all political stripes have repeatedly turned away from negotiations and towards violence. Here are the arguments from both sides in the order that they were presented to the General Assembly. Listen.
The General Assembly stands before a moral duty which it must not hesitate to undertake, and stands before a historic duty which cannot endure further delay.
The truth is that Israel wants peace and the Palestinians are avoiding peace. Those are supporting the resolution today are not advancing peace, they are undermining peace. The UN was founded to advance the cause of peace. Today, the Palestinians are turning their back on peace.
The U.S., of course, agreed with that Israeli argument, but not many other nations did. Only 8, in fact, joining the United States in voting no to recognizing a Palestinian state. Shep.
Jonathan, as you've mentioned, a lot of symbolism there, but a practical matter of importance as well when it comes to the International Criminal Court.
Yeah, this is the practical concern, at least the biggest practical concern here, is that by recognizing a Palestinian state, that also gives the Palestinians access to the International Criminal Court. And Mahmoud Abbas pointedly used the phrase war crimes in his speech, an indication that Palestinians may well try to bring war crimes charges against Israeli generals or politicians in the International Criminal Court. If that happens, it is very hard to see Prime Minister Netanyahu, Mahmoud Abbas, or any of their underlings sitting down for any kind of peace negotiations. That is the practical concern tonight, Shep.
Jonathan Hunt at the United Nations for us. Jonathan, thanks.